Hello, algebra students. We are in our last piece of, or like our last section of chapter 7, which is all about multiplying polynomials. Now, we've done a lot with polynomials. We've figured out what is a polynomial, even though we actually knew that before, we just might not have had words for it. And we've added and subtracted polynomials. And today we're really going to talk about multiplying polynomials, and I'll tell you this, you've already done a lot of this. You just didn't have the words for it, and so we're going to talk about what parts you do know, and then we're going to add to it a little bit. So our essential question is, can I multiply polynomials? You have done different problems, and just like how I've been going here, we're just going to dive right into some examples. That's usually the best way to kind of see how this is going to play out. You've done something like this. X, and then in parentheses, 2x plus 4. We talked a lot about this, I think it was, chapter 1, chapter 2, when we did distribution. And distribution is when you take the coefficient, or something that's out in front, and you multiply it to every single term. So in this case, you're going to multiply it by 2, or you're going to multiply it into the binomial to both terms. So in this case, x multiplied, because there's like a mini invisible multiplication symbol there, it's x multiplied both of these things, so it's x multiplied by 2x, which is 2x squared, and this is y. There's an invisible 1 out in front, and that 1 times 2 is 2. X times x is x cubed, so kind of ignore that right there, and if you're taking this x and multiplying it by 2x, you get 2x squared. And then you're going to multiply x by 4, and that's going to give you 4x. And then you're done. So far, you have multiplied a monomial, 1, by a binomial. So you've taken that 1 and multiplied it into both terms for the binomial. And that should be familiar. If it's not familiar, reach out to me and we can make sure that you feel confident with this piece. Because what we're going to do is we're just going to add one teeny tiny thing. We are going to add a binomial multiplied by a binomial instead of a monomial multiplied by a binomial. So let's do this. X plus 2, x plus 4. So we have binomial multiplied by, when there's no sign, you can put a multiplication sign or just know that it's multiplication. But here's the deal. You need to multiply the x by both, or into, or to both terms. I just clapped out loud. I didn't mean to do that. Both terms. You're going to completely ignore that 2. And you're going to distribute the x just like how we did up here. We distribute that 1x. We were done. And then we were distributing. But this time there's just going to be a second part to it. So you're going to do the x just like you did up here. Distribute the x to the x. So that's x times, I'm going to actually use it the same color. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Hey, that looks familiar, almost like what we had up there. But that is only the x. Now we're going to come back, and we're going to actually pretend the x is not there, and we're going to distribute the 2, like the x isn't there. So before we crossed out the 2 and just distributed the x, now we're going to do the exact same thing with the 2. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. You're done. You distributed the orange, or you distributed the x, and you distributed the 2, or that teal blue color. This is not your answer, though. I mean, it's like technically your answer, but it's not actually your answer, because there's something else you need to do. I would not accept that because it's not simplified. A 4x and a 2x can be combined, so the x squared stays the same, but that turns into 6x. And that would be your final simplification. So all of this distributed and all that simplified looks like that. Let's do a third example. Negative x plus 4. 4x plus 3. All right, so we are going to distribute. I'm gonna I'll kind of cross that out so that we have a nice place to look at. Okay, we're just going to distribute that negative 1x. We're going to put like a little 1 there because that's technically what we're distributing. So we're going to distribute that negative 1x. We're going to pretend, I keep crossing that out, we're going to pretend that 4 is not there, and we're going to distribute it to the 4x and distribute it to the 3. So in this case, negative 1x multiplied by 4x is negative 4x squared. And I'm getting that because the negative 1 times the 4 is negative 4. X times x is x squared. And then we're going to take the negative x and multiply it by 3. Or negative 1x multiplied by 3, which is negative 3x. Because a negative 1 and a 3 is negative 3. And then x just is added on there. We're going to pretend that we're not going to pretend, I was going to say we pretend that it goes away, but like we already did it. We already took care of that negative x. It's already multiplied in. We just need to take care of this 4. And this one's a little bit easier. Oops, that didn't go all the way, sorry. 4 times 4x is 16x. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And that's like technically your answer. I keep saying that. It's right. Like both these things are equal, but it's just not simplified yet. And that is because there ends up being 2 x's. And if there's ever 2 x's or ever 2 x squareds, you want to combine them. Otherwise, it's not simplified. So the x squared, there's nothing else. The 12, there's nothing else. But negative 3x and 16x is 13x. There's no new content. After this, I'm just going to throw in another example, so if you're feeling pretty confident, feel free not to watch this last example. I'm just going to do another one just in case. Let's do this one. 8m plus 3 multiplied by 2m plus 1. Same thing. I just added some different numbers, added a different variable, but it's the exact same process. Take that 8m, distribute it to the 2m, and you get 16m squared, because 8 times 2 is 16, and m times m is m squared. And then 8m multiplied by 1 is 8m. And then we're just going to do the exact same thing with the 3. We're going to pretend that's not there, and we've already taken care of it, which we have. So we'll take that 3 and multiply it by multiply it to the 2m multiplied by 2m, which is 3, and 2m is 6m. 3 times 2. And then multiply it to the other constant, or the last term. 3 times 1 is 3. It's technically the answer. We're not done yet because you want to be able to combine like terms. So I have 16m squared. 8m and 6m is 14m plus 3.